the purpose of feedback, the importance of feedback, typology of digital feedback. This is the most important part in my presentation today because it concerns with the types of digital feedback that we need to know, right? And also some issues as well, which I will be raising, right? And then there are instructional videos about the types of feedback, digital feedback that we will need to use following this presentation, and then some recommendations for the use of teachers' digital feedback, right? And then the discussion questions, which will be given at the end. What is this? Okay, yes. All right. So now I'm going to start talking about the first main point, which is the definition of digital feedback. Right. So before I start, can anybody just at least can you tell me what digital feedback is? Like for example, what feedback already, but what about digital feedback as we are now taking this call course? So can anybody help me a little bit? Just a little definition of digital feedback. Okay, it's okay for a volunteer. All right, it's okay then. I can just go straight for that because like feedback in common sense, right? Before I talk about digital feedback in detail, I would like to go through feedback a little bit, right? Because we cannot just have a look at technology in terms of the use of feedback yet. At least we have to know the nature of feedback, right? This is part of my research as well concerning corrective feedback. So feedback here is like a very popular topic, and it has been, I mean, the topic concerning corrective feedback has been being conducted since the 1970s, which means that it's been now 5 decades already that researchers, I can say educational researchers, have been working on it. Right. This also according to one study, but that's actually true, right? It's been being conducted since the 1970s, so it's a long time, and now researchers are still working on it. Right. So now we're just gonna go straight to the feedback first. Okay. So feedback is like a form of virtual performance feedback, right? So I'm just linking that to the topic itself, right? Digital feedback. So it's like a virtual performance feedback, but I think it's not really that different from traditional feedback in common sense, because if talking about traditional feedback, it's like when you provide your student with feedback directly in as a whole class, like in front of students face to face, right? And that's just the opposite of it. Okay, and here there are more things concerning the feedback here using in a digital world. It has to do with some sort of computer-based programs or computer software, and there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things concerning digital feedback, which we'll be seeing in the following slides. And this is just the simple definition of digital feedback that I got. Although after I read the article, I found that no one could ever really, explicitly define what digital feedback is. But this is how this is like the definition that I can say what we call there's a word for that, extracted. Yeah, like extracted something from the internet, and I also made some changes as well, because I think this is exactly true about how we provide feedback using the technology. That's why it is called digital feedback. It has to do with some sort of computer software, what's processors, as we have been learning the other day, right? Okay, and it has a lot. It has to do with the, most importantly, with the grammar and pronunciations. Speaking, right? I can say the two focal aspects, which are the written and oral corrective feedback, which we have to do with digital feedback. Okay, you will see it soon. And this is what teachers have to do when it comes to providing students with feedback. We have to find out, okay, as teachers, right, we have to find out what learners know. This has to do with the students or learners' prior knowledge. How much do we know about learners' knowledge? That's what we have to do at first. What do they understand? What they understand about what they're learning? So teachers have to possess some sort of a prior knowledge or students' background knowledge before ones can simply start providing instructions, right? And this is also the most important aspect as well for teachers to consider. The teachers have to identify, have to find out the errors, right? The kinds of errors, because that's what teachers have to do. What teachers have to do is to, help provide, impart new knowledge. So when students make mistakes, okay, let's say mistake is simply for slipped errors, but for errors, usually they are permanent. When they make some sort of permanent errors, teachers have this job to provide them with new knowledge. When they learn from particular errors, a particular error, they will learn new thing, right? They will know something new the next day, right? That's why it's important. And sometimes it also has to do with the student misunderstanding of I can say linguistics aspect, let's say vocabulary, grammar. Sometimes they misunderstand, and I can say most of the time there usually appears to be some sort of grammatical contrast in which students they fight each other. Like sometimes they don't just fight. It has become a challenge for teachers as well when they have to deal with the analysis of grammar. Why this one is not correct? Why do we add s here, for example? Mostly inversion or any other advanced structures which students find very challenging, and they also want to debate a lot as well. So this is why a teacher's feedback is important, because we tell them, we clarify, we provide explicit comments to make sure that the misconception or misunderstandings of such things will not ever occur again, right? And again, yes, I can say feedback is very important for everyone, not just for us as language educators, but also for uh, every single individual working in different fields, in different areas, not just for us. Even like I can say business people, they also need feedback from someone else, or entrepreneurs who had more experience, right? So feedback in common sense is a very broad term, but it's very useful in developing people's uh, perspective, knowledge, stuff like that. Right. Okay, so concerning feedback, again, I have selected one of the previous researcher studies, which is Tim Lee, Hattie and Tim Lee 2007. He said feedback can be conceptualized as information given by an agent. So he raised such examples and provided such instances like teacher, parent, peer, book, and self-experience. Right. So I'm gonna talk about that one by one. Why he referred to such things? Okay. So like for his teacher or parents, they can provide constructive comments. Uh, I think for teachers, we know already that that's what a teacher does. But for parents, some parents these days, they can also teach their kids themselves. I can say these days, of course, right? In the past, I don't know. They're well educated already, so in the next generations, they can help their kids a lot, right? That's why the kids these days know a lot, right? They are like proficient learners. That because of the influence from their parents. I think everyone also notices as well. Okay. Right, and this is another part. Oh, sorry, this is another the second aspect he raised. A peer, right? A peer refers to like your friends if you work in a company, or let's say your colleagues, right? They can provide you with an alternative approach. In order to make it simple to understand, I give you this example. Just like we work as a team, we have been assigned a task to do, and we don't know how to do it. But your friends always has more options for us. They can provide us with more, solutions. You can say, our friend can provide us with a sample of a particular task. So then we know what to do, right? So that's also important for a peer, and a peer can also does such things to us, not just only for language educators or EFL instructor or ESL. Yeah, common sense. It's just like that. And a book here at this point from Book Self and Experience for this part. I think it has to do with another theory, which is concerning learners' autonomy. Um, I can say usually such learners they can learn by themselves. They can do research. They can ask for justifications. Such learners are likely to be successful learners in the future. If, for example, they are language learners, they tend to be successful language learners, and they don't really rely on much on their teachers. Oh, I forgot, right? A parents, right? Okay, another part. A parent just like that. They can inspire. They can also provide both financial support and even some emotional support just to help their kid learn. This is all a part of feedback, right? Although it doesn't sound like we help improve the student's performance, but it is a part of that, right? Sometimes you also provide some sort of a verbal feedback, and that also work, right? That's a form of feedback, right? Okay, so now I'm just gonna go straight to the purpose of digital feedback. Okay, which is not really that different from the nature of feedback itself. It's just that we integrate it with technology in common sense, right? I think we know that already. Digital, what else in other words, computerized or something, right? High tech. Okay. So the first one I can say it can change the way we give feedback in our students' writing. Usually we always, like I can say traditionally we provide students with feedback on their written text after they finish writing something for us. Let's say we assign them like an essay writing after they finish writing the essay, and then we are the one who assess their linguistic performance based on the language they use, for example, their content or something, right? And but then when we talk about feedback here, we have another way, a better way to provide them feedback using some sort of a word processor, like computer, I can say like word processing software like Microsoft Word, or we also have any other, like applications which can facilitate us in providing them with feedback as well, right? And then we can also improve student accuracy. I think this is like something that is inevitable, right? Improving the student accuracy is the most important part. When students produce errors, we are the one who correct them. We don't want the errors to be fossilized, right? We correct both written and spoken errors whenever we encounter that, right? And we giving feedback this way, it's also like it's like giving them some sort of a reinforcement. First we assess them, that's right, we assess so that they know exactly what area they need to improve. It has to do with their weaknesses after we provide them with feedback. But then besides letting them know about their own like academic performance, we also have some sort of a like reinforcement or appraisal. It's just not called appraisal. I think it's like verbal praises. Sorry, right? Verbal praises. We actually, like tell them by saying, "Okay, well done, great job. That's a great piece of writing." So giving such feedback will also motivate them to learn effectively as well. I think this is it has been a good experience for me. Like try to praise them, right? Reinforce them. They will keep learning, right? That's also one of the more important aspects of feedback, right? And the last one, I think I have mentioned that already. We want to give them such assessment feedback to assess them, but we also can, like encourage them, or I can say we cause them, we make them realize the areas of their weaknesses, right? They realize the areas of their weaknesses somewhere that they need to improve, or we have found their gaps that needs to be filled later. Then that's the part where they can improve, right? Because no one learns everything, even EFO learners or EFO or everyone, right? They all make mistake, and right, mistake is inevitable. So that's what we do. But it's just that it just provides improvement, right? I know that it will not result in or perfection, but I can say it results in improvement in one's academic performance, right? So that is for the sole purposes, right, of feedback, right, of feedback, digital feedback, and the nature of feedback. And this is the importance of feedback, right? Okay, so I think this one I think I already mentioned, right? Identify the gaps in their learning performance. We have to fill the gap, right? We first have to make them be aware, make them become aware of what they need to improve, right? We reinforce good academic performance there. It's just like we help remind them of the like we call persistent errors, persistent mistakes. So then when we can change that, student will not repeat again, right? And that's why I said reduce repeated performance errors, and that's also important for learners progress, right? We cannot correct everything, we cannot help them improve 100%, but we can reduce such like erroneous performance, right? Okay, so this is also what I mentioned. I think I repeated the same thing, right? Strengths and weaknesses in language skills. Students can understand, like they know themselves. They know, okay, I'm very good at writing. I'm very good at reading, but I feel like I lack the skill of listening. Yeah, but then student understand it himself. That okay, so I think I have to do something to improve my receptive skill, right? Something like that. Okay, right. The other part of feedback is like can also improve their. I think this one is pretty similar, right? This is concerning with both their academic performance, which is related to their language use or content or something. But another thing is that it can also promote their self-esteem. Some students they feel like they're very poor. They feel like they're not confident enough in talking or sharing things. Sometimes they know what to share, or something, but they just feel like they don't dare to do such things, right? And that also has to do with their self-esteem as well, how they view themselves, how they see themselves. This is like not that different from their self-confidence, right? When they know such things, they can, they can just be brave and share and talk, yeah, and raise and bring up what they want to say, right? And that's also important, right? Help correct them, give them such things for them, give them such things so that they will know such, when they know such things, they will be able to, show themselves, right? Demonstrate their performance, their skills, yeah, to everyone. Okay, so this is like a part of encouraging students motivation and engagement in learning as well, right? Providing the feedback is like something that can never be avoided, right? Teacher has to do such job. Okay, I think this one is a little bit further for the parts of feedback. I think it's just like what teachers have to do if he or she focuses a lot on a particular feedback he provides, make sure that he has his own reason. He has to rationalize, he has to, I can say justify everything he taught, yeah, everything he taught, so that a student understands and student can accept, okay, so you're right, because you have such source, because you have your own justification or on this correction, for example, right? Even when they get grade A, why? Because you did so well on your writing, because I could observe that your speaking is great, or your listening skill is great, you got very good score. Then this is an example of your rationale when you provide such things to students. Right. Feedback again. Okay, so I'm just gonna scroll all for this. It helps students with their future plans for the future future plans. Let's say, okay, they focus a lot on language skills, right? We just help them until they find out, okay, I think I want to, let's say I want to attend IFL, for example. So then they have their own way. We have provided a path. We open a way for them to, we have like, it's like we have made a clear plan, or we have built them a clear bridge for them to walk on in order to reach their goals when they need to register in a, like a prospective universities or something, right? I think this is a lot for that. Again, for feedback, again, it's important because it can also, like promote active learning, as I said here. Usually, if I can say if there's less feedback, a student will not have anything to do. They only just learn from our instructions, and it's just like a part of teacher-centered approach. So I think which is not really good. But if we do this, it can also promote student-centered as well. Right. That's another part. And every student, they always expect feedback from the teachers, right? I can give you an example based on my experience. When I marked all their writings, essay writing, rhetorical writings, usually they always ask for, teacher, where's the result? I want to see what was wrong in my paper. They just want to find out, right? They just want to find out. So that's important for us, like for us as EFL teachers or language educator, to provide them with feedback all the time, so that they can see the areas of weaknesses and then they can improve, right? And one more thing about writing or speaking, right? This is again, right? For writing, usually it is viewed differently than speaking. Some people, they speak very well, for example, but it's just that if we focus on the way he or she writes, it can be judged immediately, right? Speaking is usually normal. It's for common communication. It's usually normal. Everyone can communicate, but for writing, it is like it is like an aspect that every language educator wants to see, even even like someone's or a scholar's research paper, right? Accuracy in writing is very important, right? That also has to do with teachers' feedback as well. We train them at this stage, and in the future they will be a good writer or professional writer, right? So I think that should be it for the importance of feedback. I think I have presented a lot concerning the purposes and importance. So now let's just go straight to the typology of digital feedback, right? I'm going to raise type by type of digital feedback, but before that, I would like to give you a brief introduction of digital feedback here from our book, right? There are three things that we focus on, that I focus on today. Sorry, right? We have the mode of feedback delivery, focus of feedback provided, and strategies for delivering feedback. I think if by looking at such terms, it could be a little bit confusing. But when I explain, like the mode of feedback, if I explain that in detail, probably it will be a lot easier. Right. So this is more like like I said already, right? Mostly for feedback, the focus is on writing and speaking, right? The only sole purpose is to improve the accuracy of their written and spoken language, right? Okay, so now I think I just need to move to the first dimension, right? The modes of feedback delivery. So I can see this example now. I also got this from the article, from the book, right? So the first one is face-to-face feedback, right? This is some sort of a teachers conference, right? This is this is like pretty traditional for everyone. But at this point, we are talking about using some sort of high-tech devices to communicate and providing feedback face-to-face, just like that. And if we talk about human feedback delivery electronically at this part, we are talking about some sort of responses. I can say if I remember, it's like we're talking about the applications which we can use our voice to provide them with feedback. I think and then the third part, the third point here with the computer generated feedback is to do with some sort of software that I mentioned, like a word processing software like Microsoft Word or any other like applications, just like even like Telegram or even Messenger, even Google Classroom, even Google Form. We can all use some sort of devices, websites to provide them with feedback. They're part of computer software which we can use. That's what it can do from us. Receive, sorry, right. And the second part, the second dimension here, I'm talking about the feedback, right? The focus of feedback. This is a little bit deeper for this one. It's because it's concerned with the types of feedback which we will be looking at once we provide them with the digital feedback. We have to look at different aspects, right? Different grammatical and lexical aspects. We have subject verb agreement, verb form, noun, part of speech. I can say like morphemes and everything, right? That's what we focus. This is pretty common for error correction, right? That every teacher is facing these days, right? And then the second part, it is has to do with the content, right? It says idea development, but it focuses on the content. In other words, we call content feedback, right? Content feedback is also very important because sometimes when students know how to produce, like language correctly in terms of grammar, but they don't understand the meaning. They say, for example, you are very, let's say, easy example to understand. Let's say, she is amazingly tired, right? We know that the word amazingly is a positive adjective or adverb. But then I think when it is used with the word tired, it does not really match well, right? So this is the problem with the meaning, or we can say content feedback. Yeah, so this is the problem that we need to improve a part of that, right? Just like that. Okay. And then the third one is genre awareness. This has to do with some sort of register. I can say if we talk about the language that different people from different fields use. Let's say we're talking to a doctor. A doctor is someone usually treats patients, right? And when he has to communicate with his colleagues, he uses the language that is different from what we expect or from what we do, right? For example, okay, he uses technical terms, technical words to communicate with nurses or other doctors or scientists, and then we probably do not understand. But at this point, we also teach them to be aware of such things. We're not talking about only a doctor alone, but anywhere, even like ambassadors in a cafeteria, as a taxi driver, for example, in different purpose of learning. We have to make sure that students use it correctly or at the right time, right? This has to do with it has to do with one of the teaching approaches, which is CLT, right? Which we also will have to talk about that or focus on that as well. Once if someone happens to teach CLT, right? Focusing on register is important, right? When what language should we communicate, right? What types of language? That's something that we need to focus. It's very important. Okay, and the last one here, right? The third dimension. This has to do with the the strategies, right? The strategies of feedback and the strategies here. It has to do, I think if talking about strategies, there are so many. There's a lot of there is a variety of strategies that which we can use, but it all depends on the one who uses the feedback, whether it works effectively for students or not. It depends, right? Okay. So the first one which, is the instructor directed strategies. So I can say this one, it has to do with the teacher's preferences. Sometimes he thinks that direct feedback is helpful. Sometimes he thinks that indirect feedback helps students learn more, as it can also develop their learning autonomy. They can learn to rely on themselves without needing the help from their teachers, finding, searching more to correct their own mistakes. Right, that really depends on the types of feedback, right? Either direct or indirect or coded feedback or any other feedback types. Okay. For the second one, peer interaction strategies, it has to do with the peer work itself. Okay, the peer work here, let's say for us as teachers who are teaching online classes, right? What we have to do at this point is that we have to encourage EFL or ESL learners. Oh, sorry, in our context, EFL, right? EFL learners to like learn and share what they know to their friends. Just like we teach one, let's say we teach one grammar lesson, past simple. We teach them this lesson. After that, students are supposed to write a story talking about what happened or talk about their own vacation last week or last year. And then after they finish writing, uh, student will have to like exchange the paper, exchange their work, so that they can help correct and provide each of the friends with feedback. But we teachers also have to know exactly what the focus point is. For example, okay, we focus on the tenses. Make sure we want to find out whether students use the tense correctly or not when they happen to write something relating to their own vacation. It has to do with past tense, right? Right. That's what they have to do. So then we teachers will not we don't just only let them like let them do the job by providing each of their friends with feedback. We also have to provide some sort of a summative feedback at the end. Right. They finish doing that. We have to take one piece of paper, let's say piece of work. We show everyone. Okay. So I think this is the very common error. I'm gonna show everyone. Yeah. So at this point, teacher demonstrate let's say persistent errors or frequently made errors to everyone so that everyone also learns at the same time. So peer feedback is not something that students have to do themselves, but teachers will also have to help as well at the end. Because I can say the accuracy of peers work isn't really 100% correct, right. So I think teacher also have to intervene at this point, right, but only at the end. So let them do their job, and then we are the one who can help them, right. This is for the peer interaction strategies. There could be more, right, for other EFL teachers. It depends on their I can say their preferences or their flexibilities in teaching, stuff like that. And the last one, which is called autonomous strategies, and I think at this point it has to do with the student themselves. um, yeah, it's just like we provide them with feedback. We let the student like practice doing research, reading more books, just like one of the researcher that I raised, right. Using book, right, student can find anything they want, right. For example, they have problem with inversions. Their problem, they cannot figure it out. What's the correct tense for this? How do I work this out, sort it out? And students can just open their book, grammar books that they can find, and then they can work on that by themselves. This is a part of their autonomous strategies. They can do that, or they can also use some sort of samples there, as mentioned. As samples of essay writings. There are tons of essays writing out there, argumentative essay, rhetoric essay, a lot out there, right? Students can simply use the existing samples, and then they can just learn to write by themselves. I think this is very, very good for learners. If they can do that, they can also speed up their own learning performance, right? Which is also good. So for us as teachers, I think we should also practice learners' autonomy at this point. We just at least we help encourage them. We just give them some sort of I can say tips how to learn autonomously, starting from our feedback, right? Starting from our feedback. What we do, we just want them to develop themselves without relying much on their teachers, right? That's the thing. That's actually the key. Okay. So I think this is the last part of the third dimension for feedback, because I think each dimensions here they just explain the application, they explain the aspect of feedback, and I said the types of feedback, and they explain the strategies, right? So that we know how to apply when it comes to teaching a real classroom, right? Okay, so I think that's it for the 3 dimensions that I got from the book, right? From the article that I was assigned to read. Okay, and then we move on to the one of the digital feedback, which is called, if I'm not wrong, oh yeah, so Grammarly, right? I think everyone knows it. Grammarly is very popular right now, although it requires our subscriptions of paying. I'm not sure how much we have to pay for that, but I can say this is one of the most important digital feedback we can provide. Um, it's not just for students, but it's also for us. When they submit their task, we can, but we have to make sure that they submit their task online. No, using Word, using Microsoft Word in doc file, so that we can review their work using Grammarly, and that's very easy for us. It can facilitate our corrections, and it's very effective. And I can say this is more likely the best one in terms of digital feedback, right? Digital feedback processor, right? Okay, so this is the aspects there, the characteristics of Grammarly. Is very important. It can also correct most of the spelling errors. I know that sometimes it cannot capture all grammar aspects. Sometimes it's I can say not 100%. I don't want to criticize anything, but let's say 95% or something, not all. Sometimes it miscapture the errors in punctuation or something, right? That depends as well. Okay, even passive voice, okay, that's another example. Or even vocabulary concerning collocations. If we use the collocation in the wrong way, for example, a man is crazy with the piano. Oh, and then Grammarly does the job. It knows that crazy cannot be used, cannot be followed by the word with, but with about, for example, okay? And then Grammarly does the job for you. It can correct the wrong collocation, the wrong word choice by changing the form or replacing it by any other word, just like the example that I provided. Okay. Right. Punctuation, yeah, it's also good, right? But I just said not 100%, not 100%. But here punctuation checker, of course, and plagiarism, right? That's something which is pretty boring or concerning for others who usually practice plagiarism, right? But at this point, Grammarly, it can help for those who like do research, undertake studies, and they want to find out whether they did not plagiarize any other researchers' words, so they can use this application, this software, in order to check their work, so that they can further paraphrase in order not to be a part of like a plagiarized work, right? Or their work is considered a plagiarized one, right? Right. It's very, very useful. I can say that's why I put this in the front, right? This is like the best, right? I think the best digital feedback processor software, right? Okay, so this is something that everyone also knows, right? It can be like connected or linked with any other applications or website like Google Doc, Gmail, Facebook, or right. I'm not sure yet, but I think there are more, right? Google Chrome mostly, right? When you write something wrong, it just automatically corrects your errors or your mistakes, right? Okay. Right. So I think that should be it for the characteristics and the functions of, not a function, but the characteristic of Grammarly. But in order to use Grammarly, you probably will need to watch more tutorials on how to use Grammarly. But it's just a little bit, challenging because it requires us to pay, right? So that's a problem. But it is very good. That's why it requires its users to pay, right? Okay. So this is the other alternatives to Grammarly, which is I think the other websites which I can recommend, right? Language tools. Yeah, I can say they're also helpful as well. But if we compare with Grammarly like would be the easiest one to use. But the others is also good as well. But it depends on the user preferences, right? Every of these needs subscription, but it depends on the characteristic and the benefits and the functions that impress its users, right? I will upload the slide after my presentation so that you will be able to, get access to all these links, and you can further discover yourself. Once you have to correct your student's error, you can use one of these tools, which is helpful, I think, right? It also, saves our time as well. Sometimes we spend too much time working on it, right? But when we use such tools, it can speed up our work faster. That's why we are talking about digital feedback, way faster than correcting the students' work traditionally, right? In class or something, you have to mark a lot of papers, students' test papers, which is very time consuming, right? So the second one is word processing software, which I think is also good, but it actually requires the teacher's intervention. Teachers has to do this job, right? Because the errors are not automatically corrected by such word processor. We have to do the job, but it's just that it's a lot easier for us to correct the students' work, right? Let's say this is an example of my student's written work. She wrote something. It's like a recommendation letter or something. I forgot this, but this is one of the work that I corrected. Uh, we first have to make sure that they submit their work in a doc file. We get their work, and then we can go to we just simply open the file and go to track change. But then we can read, right? We can read to find out, okay, what's wrong with this like this words or grammar structures, and then we can do track change to make changes. When student get our file, for example, after we complete or we finished correcting students' errors or providing with direct feedback or indirect feedback already, we can send this file to the student. When the student views this, they will see all the track change in red face, just like that, right? In red face, in highlighted, yeah, in red highlights, right? That's what they see, so that they can also um, correct it in a more comfortable way, right? A more comfortable way by just correcting it straight from our correction, right? Because they can see such errors already, right? This is pretty uh, easy, right? But it still also consumes the teacher's time, but it's also good as well. It's just better than correcting their work on their. It's easier than correcting their paperwork, as we all know already, right? I can say this is a little bit time consuming, but it's just good as well. Okay, that's for the word processing software that we learned the other day from our lecturer. Okay, track chain in Microsoft Word. And the next one is Google Classroom, right? I know that Google Classroom is like a software, it's like an application where we can, which we can use to, to post announcements or post exams or uh, post teaching material or learning material or something, but we can also provide them with feedback using Google Classroom as well, although it doesn't seem conspicuous enough for the users to find out or to notice, right? But it's just something like that. Let's say I posted a new assignment, right? Let's say the exam. And then after we check their exam on Google Form, okay, I will talk about Google Form later, on Google Form, then we can also get back and review their work, right? And then we can provide them with feedback in the comment sections, just like there, right? This is an example of it. When they have problems with my correction, for example, in Google Form, they come back and ask me there, and that's also an easy place for me to provide them with feedback. You see, like, okay, someone said Mr. Application is have the same meaning, okay, right? Then we can talk with them, communicate with them there. So it's very easy for us. They can also receive the notification soon enough, right? Okay, which is also good, right? For as a part of digital feedback. Okay, Google Classroom, very simple. And this one is for Google Form, right? Okay, so for Google Forms, we have to log in Google Forms using our emails, and then we have to select a specific folder when we want to create. Okay, this is like the process of creating the tests or any test on Google Form, but I'm just going to talk about how we provide feedback on Google Form straight, right? First, after a student finished doing their test on Google Form, we have to look at the response there. As you can see in the arrow facing down there, responses, 25 responses. We go there, we click responses, and then we review. We click the tab individual, right? The tab individual, and then we will see their respective work or their individual work. And at that point, we can also access it and provide them with feedback at the same time. But at this part, it's a little bit challenging, Here, that's what I'm talking about. It's a little bit challenging for students because at this point, students have to check their email as often as possible because when we add the feedback there, they have to go back to their emails. I think this is somehow a bit restrictive for some users. It's not as quick as the feedback on Google Classroom, but it's also good we can provide clear feedback on a particular section of their work, which we want. That we want, right? As you can see, this is the writing sections. We can give them the comment. Okay, so you have made a lot of mistakes in terms of punctuations. Okay, review that. At this point, we call meta-linguistic comments. It's like a part of feedback in which we just only provide with questions or further comments for the review, or I can say a part of an indirect feedback, right? We can do that on this. Students can review their work, check their email, and then they can see our feedback straight. Okay. But I think when it comes to the real practice, probably you have to make sure whether this doesn't restrict the user from accessing the emails or notification from the one who assigns the task or the teachers. Okay, right. Oh, I forgot to click the arrows. All right, this one. This is. I think that the next part here. It is something that I think we have been doing as well for our course, right? Okay, breakout room. That's a part of peer feedback. Yeah, that's a part of peer feedback which we have been doing. We listen to a presentation and then we have been provided with some discussion questions. And then we can go to the breakout room, talk with our friend, sharing knowledge to each other based on experience or something. And that's what we do, right? We share knowledge. And that's also a part of peer feedback, right? We learn from each other when we are communicating in a breakout room, right? So this is very useful as well. Okay, right? Um, you can do a lot of things there, right? A lot of things. So learning from your friends a lot is good because everyone has different ideas about the same thing, and then you can learn more about you can learn more from your friends, right? Sharing. Okay, right. Stuff holding. Okay, right. A lot of things right there. Okay, we don't have to clarify all this. Okay, and this is phone conference call, which is very common, right? It is common for everyone who wants to provide feedback, right? It's I can say it's very common, but it depends on the internet access as well. Because this one I'm talking about one of the software or one of the application, which is Teleport. Okay, so Teleport, I'm not sure whether everyone has heard of it, but Teleport is also as good as Telegram or Messenger, right? I can say it's professional, but it just quite requires a little bit of the like it's a little bit hard when we register. It requires us to do some sort of word identification, recapture, or something, right? Once you work on that, you go and discover that yourself. You will find out how to use it, right? But this is just one of the digital feedback I can give you. You can just make conference call when you feel like, okay, let's say, okay, we have a meeting today, but there's more point I need to tell you more. I haven't finished telling you yet. Then let everyone join the call, and then you can talk about it, right? Which is also very helpful. But I know that some people will prefer to use something which is common like Messenger or Telegram, the best way to provide or to impart messages. Yeah, it's all up to the users or the one who or practices. Okay, but Teleport is good. Actually, it's good. Just like its alternatives, just like that, right? Telegram, Messenger, MST. It's all the places, right, where we can provide them with feedback, right? For the good one. And this is like the last part of my presentation, which is concerning the feedback on speaking, right? Digital feedback again, but on speaking. Why on speaking? At this point, we focus on the like students pronunciation, right? At this point, it's important for student pronunciation. For written text, we use all those computer software or word processors, but that is the point we have to use our voice, right? For example, like from the class today, the teacher notices something, or maybe like let's say 10 errors that student mispronounced, 10 words, sorry, 10 words that student mispronounced, then teachers can do the job by using one of this application, and then teachers can simply leave their voice and tell every one of them. You can also use that to send to every single student, or you can just send that to the whole class, right? It depends on the number of users you create in a particular group, in one group, right? Send one message and then everyone can use it. In terms of the way how to use it, I think I don't know much, but it's just what I can tell or recommend. You can also watch the video to further explore how we can use it. And I think there's also some videos which I will be playing for all of you to at least find out how we can use at least one type of digital feedback devices to help us, not devices, this computer software to help correct our students' errors, right? Okay. And the other one, this is called Vokaru. At this point, I'm not so sure exactly how to use it, but it's also good to provide oral feedback, right? To provide students with oral feedback. It's all clear as well, just like Flipgrid, but I think Flipgrid is like more popular than Vokaru. Vokaru is just works best for recording the voice. It's all about oral correction. Yeah, oral corrections. It's all about that, right? For teachers, if we focus on students' pronunciation, we want them to pronounce as naturally as native speakers. I think maybe not possible, but we just want to pronounce accurately, right? We can use that, right? If teachers if the teacher is really eager to help or to see their students improve such aspect in language learning, right? Pronunciation. Okay. And this is like the other what is this about? I think this is supposed to be the summary, but I just put the challenges and future expectations. Here's just like the summaries of how we can use what we can use to provide them with the feedback using such computer processing softwares. Okay, but then we also have something else to talk about. I think like the difficulties, the challenges, or maybe I made a mistake there. Yeah, actually, this is the challenging part, right? Okay, this is a problem for every teacher, but not every teacher, but for some, sorry, right? Some teachers they somehow they know well how to use like such a computer software, or I can say technology in common sense, right? Especially the first part, like I said, in insufficient extensive phonological knowledge. This is a problem for some sort of a oral correction aspect, right? This is a little bit hard. And another challenge is that teachers may have less experience with feedback. Some teachers usually they think that student can learn by himself, so they just don't want to provide them with correction. They think that student at these days, right? Student these days are good enough already. They seem to ignore or something, and that would just make them become fossilized teacher, or they become become like inexperienced in using it, and which is not really a good thing, right? That's what we have to talk about. And the other thing is the lack of preparation, right? This is concerning with the teacher's lessons, which talks about new vocabulary, right? The pronunciation is very important, right? For teaching new vocabulary, teacher has to be clear, explicit about the pronunciation, whether this word is pronounced correctly or not. And this is from one of the study that I selected, right? Derwing and Munro 2005, right? That's what he stressed on, right? This is a part of the teacher's challenges. And the other thing is the poor students' memory. This is from my research, from my own research. It's a real challenge, right? It's a real challenge for EFL teachers, right? Students, like I can say most of the times, students produce errors with the S sound, right? And it's also one of the studies conducted by our, lecturer as well, Dr. Casey, Dr. Janadat, right? He also stated that students produced, right, very like I can say this kind of error very frequently, right, without S sound, right? And I don't know, but it's like we just want them to use it right, just like a sentence this way: he speaks English. Students says he speak English. They just somehow forgot to add S. yeah, they usually forget to add s, and that's a problem, right? That also has to do with their poor memory, and then in order to deal with such a challenge, probably we have to come up with different strategies, or maybe can learn more, or we can do more research to find out how we can deal with this challenge, right? Okay, poor memory. Okay, and the other one is the disbelief. And I think this is really good to say, because this is actually a bit disapproving. In my research, one of the teachers participant, they actually encountered this. When he told that this word is uncountable, then they did not believe. They said that their previous foreign teacher said this word is countable. The word food, I remember, if I don't, yeah, I think I remember that. The word food, usually it is uncountable, right? But then he said it is countable, right? And this is one example exemplified by one of my participants, and that's a challenge of their disbelief. They think that, oh, their teachers were great, but their teachers are more proficient than the other teachers, for example, or they think that their knowledge is so good as they come from high quality school. He also raised some example of the students from AZ. Oh, sorry, I don't want to mention the name, right? But such students from these schools are very proficient learners. So that's why they come up with such disbelief. Yeah, such perspective, right? Perspectives on their teachers that teachers' corrections is really useful, or maybe it's not really 100% accurate. So I have to stick to disbelief, right? But I think this is not really good at all. Teachers are the one who educate us, so we have to respect and follow, right? Yeah, just comply, just like that. Okay, so this is another challenge, right, that I discovered, right, from one of my research and the other. Okay, so I think there are more there. I think I have spent a lot of time already. It's 50 minutes already, so I think I don't want to spend more time on it, because this is just the other alternatives of corrective feedback. This is like concerning my research, because it's going to be a lot more in detail. I will just move on and play the video, right? The video that talks about one of the digital feedback. Okay, I didn't expect that I spend much time like this, so I would just want to move on, right? We have more to focus, right? Explicit, implicit, focused feedback, and unfocused, and issues of it, right? So I would just move on and talk about. I was just play the video about one of the application, right? That we can use to provide students with the oral feedback, right? Okay, so I'm gonna play the video. Okay, so I'm gonna play it now. So can anybody hear the sound, the audio?
Not yet, not yet.
Oh, sorry, right. I'll play first. So can you hear now?
No.
Okay, so I hope everyone can hear, because I share the entire screen. Okay, I'm gonna go straight. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. This is Bokaru, not Flipgrid. I'm just gonna exit the screen, the full screen, and then I'm gonna play the video there in this folder instead, right? Here, Flipgrid. So sorry about that. Not Bokaru. Sorry. You can also watch Bokaru, right? Later. Okay.
The sound not yet.
Can you hear the sound now?
No.
Oh, my apology. I have to check sharing once again. Did I share the voice or something? Hold on. This is the oh, sorry, this is the participant device setting. This is the share part, right? Let's share once again. Oh yeah, include computer sound. I found it. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so let's go there once again.
Hey teachers, in today's video, I am answering one of the most asked questions that I receive about Flipgrid. So some of the most popular videos here on my channel are my Flipgrid videos, and I have all of those linked in the description below if there's anything you want to know about Flipgrid or if you want to go back and watch any of those. But since I've started creating these Flipgrid videos, one of the questions that I receive from teachers the most is, how do I leave feedback for my students after they've posted a video? And so in today's video, I'm going to show you an update that was recently made to Flipgrid that will allow you to leave comments and interact with your students in a private way after they have responded to a question or an assignment using Flipgrid. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump on my computer and I'm going to show you how it's done. Remember, anytime you log into Flipgrid, it's going to take you to your discussion dashboard first. So let's say I want to go through and start reviewing student responses and leaving feedback. I'm going to click on one of my groups. It's going to give me my active topics here, and I can see that I have one response in fluency reading. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And down here, it will list out all of the responses that students have left for fluency readings. And I just want to show you real quick, if you click on actions, there's all kinds of things that you can do. You can add it to a mixtape, which we talked about in the video where I shared all of the updates to Flipgrid. You can move and duplicate responses. You can download the video. You can delete the response. If you've moderated it, you can decide whether to make it live or not. But to actually view the response, you're going to just click on it. And here's the video. The response will play automatically. This is just like a practice video that I created for showing you guys. But when you want to leave feedback, all you're going to do is you're going to scroll down and click on the feedback tab. And this is something only you, the teacher, will see. The other students will not see this. And you can decide how you want to leave feedback. There is private video feedback, so you can record a video for your students, giving them feedback that way. And the camera tools and features for this are going to be the same that I have shown you in some of the other videos in our Flipgrid series. Now, when I created this topic, I just used the standard rubric that Flipgrid provides. So the standard rubric just grades for ideas and performance. So I can give them a score on each of these areas. If I created custom feedback, which is the very last thing that you can decide to do when you're creating a topic, and custom feedback will allow you to create your own rubric. So if I had created custom feedback with my own rubric, it would appear right here and I would be able to grade that. And then the last thing I can do is leave private comments. So let's say I don't really want to record a video. I can leave comments here, and those will be just for my students' eyes only. None of the other students in the class would be able to see that. So that is all that you're going to do if you want to give private feedback to the student. Now, if you want to leave some kind of comment for the student that all of the other students in the class can see, you'll click on the details tab and click add a comment. So if you just want to give them praise and tell them you did a great job, and you want the other students to be able to see that and acknowledge how good the student did as well, you can do that publicly under details. So the feedback tab is private, the details tab is public. But that is how you can leave feedback for your students. So Flipgrid's been rolling out a lot of updates lately, including this feedback feature. And I'm really excited because I feel like the team at Microsoft, which creates Flipgrid, I feel like they're really listening to teachers and incorporating the things that we're asking for into the platform. And this is one of those things. So I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below what features you love about Flipgrid. What are some features that you would maybe like to see incorporated into Flipgrid, or what are just questions that you have about Flipgrid? Let me know in the comments. And then make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. We upload new videos all the time about using technology in the classroom, creative ideas to teach, ways to save time as a teacher, and I don't want you to miss out on any of those videos. So until next time, happy teaching.
Okay, now think that should be it for the video. And let's see what else do I have at the end of my slide. So I have to go back a little bit. Okay. All right. So I thought I have some discussion question as well, right? And oh, right. Hold on for one second. All right. So I'm gonna show you these are the references I got for this whole presentation today from these researchers. And thank you so much, everyone, for your attention. It's like it's been an hour already. Sorry about that. And here are the discussion questions, right, concerning the topic today, right? And then we will be using or practicing one of the peer feedback strategies applications that I raised, and it's also something that has been being done these days by our lecturers, right? Which is a breakout room, right? Okay. So here we have the first question here. What types of teachers feedback strategies do you think are useful for EFL classrooms in Cambodia? Any justification on each type? All right, just I think you can just go further and read this yourself, but I think this is like very important question because it just focuses straight they just focus straight on the students academic performance, or in other words linguistic competency, right? So these are very important for our EFL learners, right? In terms of their performance, right? Academic and non-academic. Okay, so thank you so much. Okay, so I'm just gonna